Before I open it up to the audience for questions, I had one question. You know, I'm often asked by younger people how to get into film school and where to go to film school, and if film school is really worthwhile. You know, it's being such an expensive pursuit to go into. You know, each of your films kind of came through different paths: UCLA Extension, Santa Cruz, AFI. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what you felt was valuable about film school, and is it really necessary for people to go to film school to end up doing what you're doing? Your candid opinions. How about the AFI experience?
Well, I think to me AFI was very, very intensive program. I almost quit so many times, to be honest. I barely made it until end. I think after finishing everything, I feel it was worth to go there to meet filmmakers because it's very difficult to meet filmmakers once you started working in the company, or even you set up own company. It's I think meeting filmmakers with business aspect and with art, I think it's very different. And everyone told me after years is often meet AFI alumni with a good way to collaborate. So I didn't figure out it yet, but I believe it will be really good collaboration after this education.
Well, I went to USC for undergrad, and then I came to FI, and I don't know if it's worth that amount of money, to be honest, because my father always makes fun of me that the amount that he paid for is like a couple of Ferrari that he can buy, and I don't know, my brain is worth that much of money. But I was actually promised to my father that I would get a master's degree in order to be a filmmaker, because they were really against becoming a filmmaker, considering, you know, they're very business Asian family, and they didn't think a film director is something that you can make a living or it's a job. But I had to convince my parents that if I get a master's degree, even if I don't make director, maybe I can be a teacher and professor. And they said, okay, if you get a master's degree, then that's fine. So that's one of the reasons that I went to FI. But what's good about FI is that it's very focused on what you want to do, where USC has a film production program, and you can learn like every aspect of filmmaking, which was good for undergrad for me because I didn't know anything about filmmaking. And then when I came to FI, and there's 6 disciplines: directing, producing, screenwriting, editing, and cinematography. And I was in producing program, and I was in directing program. And you get to collaborate with people who are really desire to work with what you want. And it's like Maya said, it's like lifetime, like friends. And I work with people that I shot a film with, and it's I think the biggest part of benefit of going to film school is to meet someone that you're kind of like in the same situation, and I think that's probably one of the greatest benefit. And also at AFI, the teachers are working professors. They take a couple of years off to actually teach, and then they go back to work. So you get the cutting, like the latest like techniques and stuff from the teachers.
Ming, I've read a lot about extension having a lot of these great programs. What about the extension program?
The extension program is great in that there's a lot of working professionals that are teaching the program, and so for people like me that were actually working, a day job working in advertising, it allowed me to go to school at night and still have access to these wonderful teachers. And so we had for cinematography, actually, I guess you can do a producing program, a directing program, or a cinematographer program. So whatever discipline that you ultimately want to do, you can take specific programs toward that route. But for me, I kind of designed my own program to get the classes that I wanted to, and so most of those are highly technical classes like cinematography and digital intermediates and editing, things like that. And so I designed my own program, which was ultimately, I think, more beneficial to me, although works for different people in different ways. But to answer your question about whether you should go or not to film school, I think it was really a personal decision, and I think every student has different needs, and so it's a lot of money. It's like $100 grand, and so do you bet on black and go to film school or not, or do you take that money and make your own film? And so I think there's just a wide range of options for you, and you have to do what's best. But prior to going to UCLA Extension, I learned a lot about production and advertising. So being a writer and working in teams of writers and art directors, graphic designers, and creative directors, oftentimes we were, unlike film, I guess, once you come up with a concept, you sell it to the client, and after the director has finished shooting, the agency takes over and oversees all post. And so, we would conceive the spots, we would, go to the shoot and watch the director execute the spots, but afterward we would control all the post-production. So that was like a learning on the job for me. So I did 13 years of that, graduating in that way from, I guess a real world film school. So it was very beneficial, but I think still you need, I think if not formal education, you need to study. And so I think that's the most important thing, whether you get from books or from school.